Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how you can create and add snow to your photos and come up with this amazing effect. And I'm going to start right now. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and if it is the very first time to this channel and you want to learn all about Photoshop, Lightroom and everything photography related, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. Now today guys, I'm going to show you how you can create this amazing snow effect in Photoshop 2020 simply by following these 6 simple steps. So the first one, what you want to do is create a snow layer on the bottom, just simply by creating a few adjustment layers and solid color adjustment layers. The second thing we're going to be doing is be adding in color. We're going to be adding in a vignette and then changing the luminosity and brightness of the photo. Thirdly, we're going to be creating the smoke out of the chimney, and we'll be doing this by using a previous photo that already exists and changing its blending mode and brightness. Fourth, we're going to be adding in glow to where the windows are, and we're again doing this by changing the brightness and luminosity of the photo. And then finally, we're going to be adding in the falling snow and changing its effect and brightness. Now guys, if you want to use any of the photos that I'll be using in this tutorial, make sure go to the link in the description and it'll all be there for you free to download. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so once you've got onto your computer, the first thing you want to do is load Photoshop. So I've already got it loaded up here, and as you can see there are 6 folders in my latest panel here that shows you the 6 effects that we're going to create to make this effect on the photo. And as you can see, it looks really realistic and I'm really happy with the result. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all the effects just so we can start from the original photo. Now, what we want to do first is we want to create some snow lying on the ground, as this is the very first step. So the first thing we want to do is we want to reduce the luminosity of the greens and yellows. So we're going to go to our adjustment layer panel, which is on the bottom right hand corner, and we're going to go up to where we find hue and saturation. Now when we select this, we only want to lower the hue and saturation of certain hues or certain colours. So if we go to our master panel here and we just click, as you can see it opens up into a bunch of colour bands. So what we want to do is we want to go down and just select the green colour band. And as you can see here we've got the temperature of the colour. And what we want to do is we just want to reduce the amount of saturation all the way to 0. But as you can see, the colours still haven't really been affected. So the best thing we can do here is we can just see these sliders at the bottom here. We could just move the sliders just to increase the amount of desaturation in the image. So if you've got these 2 sliders here, so we've got the first slider which is 100% saturation, and then it reduces it down to 0, and then between these 2 panels here it is 0. So if we move these further out, we can reduce the saturation further. Now the further you move these apart, the more snow will be added. So I think we're going to go for around there. Perfect. So we've reduced the amount of saturation in the image, but again we haven't completely removed it. So the second thing we want to do now is we just want to make a black and white layer. So we're going to go to our adjustment layers here, and then we're just going to find to where it says black and white. Now this will turn the photo completely to black and white, but this is key because all of the black areas in the photo, there will be no snow, and all of the white areas, there will be snow. So as you can see, we want to add a little bit more snow to the background. So the way we can do this is by changing the amount of luminosity in each of the colour bands. So if we want to increase the amount of snow, we want to drag the reds to the right hand side. And as you can see, the bottom here is getting a little bit brighter. And again, we want to do the same with the yellow and the green, and possibly even the blue. Actually, we're going to reduce the blue because we don't really want any of it in the sky, and I think we're going to reduce the cyan like so. Lovely. So we've ended up with this, but what we need to do now is we need to create a selection of this. So So once we're happy with the selection here, we want to go to our channels. What we want to do is we want to select RGB, and then we just want to command and click. And what this will do is it will create a selection of all of the brightest pixels. So what we want to do now is head back to our layers panel. We want to go down, and we just want to go to our solid color, and what we want to do is select white. So as you can see, we've selected white there. Lovely. So what we can do now is we can just delete that black and white layer. Lovely. So as you can see, we've added in a fair amount of snow to the ground. But we actually want to change maybe a little bit of this saturation. So if we go to yellows here and we just bring back some of the saturation here. Lovely. Right, so the next step we want to do is we want to create a little bit more snow on the roof, as I feel that their snow would be lying on the roof. So the way we can do that is by creating a new layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our pen tool, and we're going to select just where the roof is. So we're going to click the pen tool, and we're just going to select where the roof would be. I'm going to go along here. You could be nice and rough. This is only a very quick selection. So we're going to go along here, and then we've got a little bit of this roof up top. Perfect. So once we've done that, what we want to do is we just want to zoom out. We want to head to our paths panel. We want to go to where our path is. We want to double click on that path to save it. So I'll save it as path 3. And then we want to hold down command, and then you just want to click on that thumbnail, and that will create the selection. Lovely. So we'll head back to our layers panel, and what we want to do is we want to create a solid color layer. So we're going to go to our adjustment panel here, and we're going to go up to solid color. Now we want to make this completely white. Lovely. So once we've done that, we want to add a certain amount of bevel and emboss to make it look a bit three-dimensional. And then we also want to add a little bit of texture to it. So if we double click onto here, what we can see, we've got our bevel and emboss section just below our blending options. So all you need to do is just command click on there. Lovely. So if I just reset to default, what we need to do is we need to add the right amount of bevel and emboss. So I've just reset it so we can both start from the same start. So what we want to do is we want to probably maybe increase the size ever so slightly, like so. And then we probably want to increase the depth as well, just to make it look like the snow is a little bit thicker. But it's a little bit too dark at the moment. So what we can do is we can just go to our shadow options, and we can just reduce the amount of shadow in there, but not too much. So we've got something about there. Perfect. So the next thing we want to do is go to our texture. So we've got our texture panel just inside bevel and emboss. So we'll select that, and the one you want to select if you're in 2020. So we'll go to our pattern here. All we want to do is go to water, and then we want to go and select our second pattern. So we'll select our second water pattern, and it comes up with this effect. Now what you want to do is change the scale up to quite a large amount, and that will just change, and then we just want to change the amount of depth, just to give it a slight texture to the image. Now you can either make it really small or really big. It really does depend on what you're going for. So we're going to go for something like that. Is perfect. Right, and then once we're happy with the bevel and emboss and texture, all we need to do is press OK. But as you can see, at the moment it's a little bit too sharp, and snow is very organic. So the way I can do this is if we go to our layer mask, which we just created earlier, we command click, we can see all the edges are really, really sharp. So what we're going to do is just go into our layer mask, we're going to select B, which is brush on our keyboard, or we go to the left hand side, select brush here. Make sure our opacity is at 100% and our flow is at 100%. We want a nice, small, quite harsh brush, and all you need to do is just draw along the edge. Make sure we've got white selected in our foreground colour, and just draw a line just along the edge of the snow, just to make it look a little bit more natural along the edge here. So we'll do that. We'll go draw up here a little bit. Draw along here, down here, across up here, and draw along the top here. And then again up here, across there. And then I think we'll probably add a little bit down the edge of here. So we'll go all the way down. Lovely. Now we've got the windows here, and as you can see there's a little ledge. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of snow to the ledge, like so. And then we've got a little bit of a ledge here, so we can add a little bit of snow there. Add a little bit of snow here. And then we've got this ladder coming down, so we can add snow onto the ladder. So we'll add a little bit of snow in. So as where you would think the snow would fall in real life is where you want to add snow in this photo. Now you can spend a long time doing this, trying to get this bit perfect, because this is the kind of area, this is the kind of bit that really does make the photo look really realistic. So as you can see, we've added that, and as you can see, it's created this nice effect, and it really does look like the snow is falling. Just notice we've got this stair bit here, so we can add a little bit of snow here. Lovely. And what you can also do is add in snow to the foreground layer. But just to keep this tutorial fairly short, I'm just going to add it to where the building is. So if we just move a little bit along there. But again, you can fiddle this for as long as you like. Brilliant. So once we've done that, what we want to do now is we just want to create this into a group. And this is our very first step done. So what we're going to do that and just call this one snow. Lovely. So the next thing we want to do now is we just want to create a nice brightness and luminosity to this image. So we're going to go to our adjustment layers, and we're going to go to curves. So what we want to do now is we just want to darken the image, as snow usually is overcast, so that means there's not enough light coming into this photo, so we just want to darken it. So we're just going to bring down the brightness of the whites, so we'll do that, and then I think we'll bring down the midtones just slightly. Lovely. And then what we want to do is create another curves adjustment layer to create the vignette. So we'll go to, again, our adjustment layers at the bottom, we'll select curves, and then we want to bring the whites down quite a lot, and then we'll also bring down the midtones a fair amount. Lovely. And then we want to go to the layer panel, our layer mask on that curves adjustment layer we've just made. We want to press G on our keyboard. We'll go over to the left hand side and we'll select the gradient. And what we can do is just make sure that we've got black as our foreground layer. We make sure that we've got our radial gradient, which you can choose our gradient options at the left hand side at the top just here. And we just want to draw out from the center, click and drag, and as you can see, it's created this nice vignette. And if we turn that off and on again, it's created this nice kind of moody theme. Now what you can also do is we can go to our adjustment layers again. We want to go and select our color balance, and we just want to add a little bit of blue to this image. Snow isn't always completely white, it is a little bit blue. So we're going to go to our highlights, as snow is white. We're going to add -5 to our cyan, and then we're going to add +5 to our blues. And as you can see, if we turn that off and on again, we've just created a little bit of blue adding to the snow there. So again, once we've created these effects, we're going to command click, and we're going to group all of these together, and we're just going to call this section color. Brilliant. So that is step 2 complete. The step 3, what we're going to do is add in some smoke. So what we need to do is add in a new photo, and we're just going to add in some smoke here. So all you need to do is just go to my website, photographybyfever.com, and you can download this effect. It's a nice effect, it's just snow. So what we can do is I just drag this particular photo in. This is what it looks like. What we need to do is just turn it to the right hand side and make it a little bit smaller, and just place it over where the chimney would be. So something like that. Lovely. But the black at the moment is kind of ruining the image, so we need to change the blending mode. So if we make sure we've got the smoke 1 selected, we'll go to normal, and we're going to go down to diffuse. And as you can see, it turns it into this black smoke. So what we need to do now is just remove sections that we don't want. So we're going to go to our layer mask selection. We're going to press B on our keyboard, and we're just going to remove the bits that we don't want. Like so. Lovely. So we've added in the smoke. So once we've done that, we're just going to create that into a group, and we're just going to call this smoke. Lovely. So the second thing we're going to do now is we're going to create the glow of where all the windows are. So again, we're going to use our path tool, so we're going to use the brush. So if we go to the brush tool, which the pen tool, sorry, so it's P on the keyboard, or you can find it on the left hand side here. You just want to select where the windows are. Now again, you could be nice and quick with this, as this effect will be blurred in a second. So we'll just create this effect here. Make sure to try and select as much as possible. So we'll go for there, a little bit of snow there, a bit of a window here. Lovely. So once we've created the path tool, again we want to go to our path options. We want to double click on that work path to save it. And then once you've done that, if you want to command click on that path, it will select it for us. Lovely. So again, we want to do something very similar that we did with the snow layer. We want to go to our adjustment layers and we want to go and select solid color. But instead of selecting completely white, we want to add a little bit of yellow to this image. So we're going to add in just a little bit of yellow there. Lovely. And then what we want to do is change the blending mode of these to color dodge, which will kind of brighten the image slightly. Now as you can see, they're a bit bright at the moment. So if we just lower the, if we lower the fill of it, what it will do is it will just change the amount of brightness within this area. So we'll just do that. So we'll reduce the fill down to about 80%. Now it's a little bit too harsh. So what we can do is we can go select over on the right hand side here, we can go to our blur tool. And the blur tool acts very similar to the brush tool, but instead of painting, it actually blurs areas. So we make sure that we've got our layer mask selected. We'll just run over the edges, and as you can see, it blurs that layer mask really nicely for us. So we'll go along there, and we'll go along there. Lovely. So it's blurred that area for us perfectly. So what we want to do now is we just want to duplicate this layer. So we'll press Command J on our keyboard. We just want to delete that layer mask, and we just want to create a new layer mask, but we want to make sure we hold down Alt, because that will create a complete black layer mask as so. And then what we need to do is go to our brush tool, which is B. We want to lower the opacity of the brush down to around 40%, make it quite large, like so, and we just want to dab, make sure we've got white as our foreground colour, and we just want to dab a little bit extra, and this will create a kind of glow coming out of the windows. So we'll go for there, and we'll go there. Lovely, and as you can see, it's created this nice, good looking glow. But what you can do, you can also add in extra reflections to certain areas. So along this tree here, for instance, we can add in some extra glow. So if we just reduce the opacity a little bit more of that brush. So as you can see, it's glowing off of there, and it would probably glow off the edge of this ladder. So we can add that in like so. So there we go, we've added that in there. Lovely. So the last thing we want to do, so if we just group these and just call this glow. The sixth and final step we want to do is add in some of the snow. And what we want to do is we want to go to my website. We've got two photos that you can choose. So we've got this photo of some snow, and we've got this photo of some snow. This is the photo I'm going to be using. So all we need to do is just drop this onto the layer, and we'll drop it on like so. And we just need to make it to the full size of the canvas. Lovely. Right, so once we've done that, we just need to simply change the blending mode to screen. So we're going to go to our blending mode options, and we're just going to drop it down to screen. And as you can see, it's added in the snow there. Lovely. So all we need to do now is just reduce the opacity just ever so slightly. Just reduce it down to the amount that you'd like. And then we just need to add a slight blurring effect to make it look like it's falling. So the best way to do that is we go to Filter, we're going to go to Blur, and we're going to go to Motion Blur. And when we go to Motion Blur, it comes up with this little image here, this preview. What you need to do is just change the angle to the amount where you'd like the snow to come from. So I'd like mine to come from just slightly to the left hand side. And you want to see the amount of distance the pixels travel in the blur. So the less the amount of pixels, the less blur there will be, and the more amount of pixels, you can see the more blur. Now this looks a little bit too like rain. So if we just want to reduce the amount of pixel blur to probably around maybe 15 pixels, I think will be enough. Lovely. And then all we need to do is just command click on there, and we just want to call this one snow. And there we go, guys. So that is how 6 easy steps, if you follow, you can create this lovely snow effect in Photoshop 2020. Brilliant. And there we go, guys. So that is how you can create and add snow in Photoshop 2020 to create this amazing effect. Now guys, if you want to again download any of the photos that I'll be using in this tutorial, make sure you head down to the link in the description and you can download them free from there. Again guys, if you want to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, it really does help my channel grow. Also, if you want to hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my latest content. Also guys, if you want to have a look at the Teespring store, I've got the link in the description. I've got a bunch of hoodie and t-shirts designs on there which you can pick up for a discounted price if you type in Create20. But until next time guys, keep creating.